By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Jacob was exhausted and empty-handed. Not only had he failed to find the big treasure he was searching for, but he had also discarded all the smaller pieces he'd found earlier. In a small town in Colorado, there lived a motivational speaker named Mark. At 45 years old, Mark had spent his life traveling from city to city, sharing powerful lessons on finding purpose and inner peace. He was admired by many and had helped countless people find direction in their lives. Yet, despite his success, Mark often felt a void in his heart. After years of wandering, he thought, if only I had a place of my own, a retreat center where people could come to me. I wouldn't need to keep traveling. I could finally settle down and focus on my mission. One day, Mark heard about a wealthy entrepreneur named Lucas, renowned for his generosity. Stories of Lucas's kindness spread far and wide. People said, Lucas gives freely to anyone who asks, big or small. Encouraged by these tales, Mark decided to visit Lucas, hoping to secure a piece of land to build his dream retreat. When Mark arrived at Lucas's sprawling estate, he saw a long line of people waiting to meet the philanthropist. Each person left with their wish fulfilled: a loan, a job, or a simple gift, and Lucas greeted every request with kindness. When Mark's turn came, Lucas smiled warmly and said, Mark, I've heard about your work. How can I help you? Mark humbly replied, I'd like a small piece of land to build a retreat where I can live and teach. Lucas considered the request and then posed a question. How much land do you need? Mark hesitated, unsure. An acre should be enough. He thought. But what if I need more for gardens or workshops? Maybe 5 acres, or 10? After all, Lucas is generous. Why not ask for more? Seeing Mark's indecision, Lucas smiled and said, Let me make it simple. Walk as far as you'd like. All the land you cover before sunset will be yours. But there's one condition. You must return here before the sun sets. If you don't, you'll lose everything. Mark's eyes lit up with excitement. Thank you, he exclaimed and set off immediately. At first, Mark walked at a steady pace, carefully surveying the land he covered. He marveled at the lush meadows, rolling hills, and clear streams. This is perfect for my retreat, he thought. But soon, greed crept in. If I walk faster, I can cover even more land. With a larger property, I could host hundreds of guests. He quickened his pace, his ambition growing with each step. Along the way, Mark came across a picturesque lake. The crystal clear water sparkled under the sun. This lake would be ideal for the retreat. He thought and ran around it to claim it. The sun climbed higher, and the heat grew unbearable. But Mark refused to slow down. Lucas, concerned for Mark's well-being, sent 2 of his employees with water to ensure his safety. But when they reached him, Mark waved them off. No time to stop, he said, his voice breathless. I must cover more ground. Hours passed, and the sun began its descent. Mark realized he had pushed too far. Panic set in as he calculated the distance back to Lucas's estate. Exhausted but determined, he turned back and ran with all his might. His legs burned, his chest ached, and his breaths came in ragged gasps. But he pushed forward, desperate to return before sunset. As the horizon turned gold and the sun sank lower, Mark saw Lucas's estate in the distance. Summoning every ounce of strength, he sprinted the final stretch and collapsed at Lucas's feet just as the sun disappeared below the horizon. Mark lay motionless, his body spent. With his last breath, he whispered, I made it. Lucas knelt beside him, sadness clouding his eyes. Mark, he said softly, this land wasn't worth your life. You had everything you needed, but your greed cost you everything. # lessons for today's society. Mark's story is a reflection of the lives many of us led. We run tirelessly, chasing more money, more success, and more possessions, often at the expense of our health, peace, and relationships. Like Mark, we convince ourselves that just a little more will finally bring happiness. But unchecked desire only leaves us drained and unfulfilled. This story teaches us to pause, reflect, and appreciate what we already have. True happiness isn't found in endless accumulation but in contentment and balance. Life is too short to waste on a race we can never win. Take a moment to slow down, assess what truly matters, and focus on living a meaningful life. In the end, it's not the land you claim or the wealth you amass but the peace you cultivate within that defines your success. If you find this story interesting and learn a lesson that helps improve your life, please like and leave your comments below. We would love to hear your story.